name is Julia, and I am here today to tell you and show you a very special story. Some of you will have heard this story before, but one thing about stories that come from the Bible is that we hear them over and over again, and we can always learn a little bit something different as we get older, or maybe just have a different perspective. So this is a parable. Jesus told parables, which were stories, to help people learn and understand what he was talking about. Sometimes he talked about things like the kingdom of heaven. And people think, well, a kingdom has a king and a queen, and castle maybe, and they rule over some people, and there might be a wall around it. That's a kingdom. But he said, no, the kingdom of heaven is a little bit different. And so he used these stories or parables to explain the difference. First, I'm going to just read, and then I'm going to show. The Good Shepherd, this is from the Bible. The words have been copied into this book. The Good Shepherd calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he has brought out all his own, he goes on ahead of them, and his sheep follow him because they know his voice. But they will never follow a stranger. In fact, they will run away because they do not recognize the stranger's voice. I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. I am the Good Shepherd. The Good Shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. I know my sheep, and my sheep know me, just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. I have other sheep that are not of this sheepfold. I must bring them also. So this is a sheepfold. It might or might not have looked like this back in Jesus' day. It might have been made of rocks or something different back then. But a sheepfold is just a place to keep the sheep safe. And the sheep don't have sharp teeth or claws. They can run, but they're not especially fast. So they need a place to keep them safe, like a sheepfold. And they need a shepherd to help watch over them as well. A lot of sheep. I can barely fit them all in. So the Good Shepherd calls his sheep by name and leads them out. This one might be named Fred. You can pick this one's name. This one is Lucy. And you can pick this baby sheep's name if you want in your head. Just say it out loud. But they all have a name, and he knows every one of them. This one he calls for Pedro. Pedro comes out. And then David comes out. You pick the rest of the sheep's name, but Jesus knows their name. Here they come. There's a few more left. And see, they're all kind of lining up because they're going to follow the shepherd. The shepherd is the person who takes care of the sheep. When he has brought all of his own out, making sure there's none left behind in the sheepfold, he goes on ahead of him, and his sheep follow him because they know his voice. Take just a moment and think of someone whose voice you know. If you had your eyes closed and say you heard your mom say your name, would you recognize her voice? Think of someone else whose voice you would recognize, and so you would know their voice. But the sheep will follow him because they recognize his voice, but they will never follow a stranger because they do not recognize the stranger's voice. So a stranger is someone you don't know, and if they said your name, you would know that that was not your mother or your father or your brother or your sister or your Aunt Cindy. You would know that that was a stranger, and you wouldn't go with them. And the sheep are the same. They only follow the shepherd because they know his voice. I am the good shepherd. I know my sheep. My sheep know me. I would lay down my life for the sheep. So he takes care of the sheep. He would even protect them from a wild animal. I have other sheep also that are in a different sheepfold. So he has other sheepfolds with more sheep than this. I must bring them out also, and they will listen to my voice, and they shall be one flock. One flock, a flock of sheep is a group of sheep. They shall all be one flock and know their shepherd. And that is the parable of the Good Shepherd. At the end of the day, he would probably take them back to their sheepfold. He takes them out to look for grass to eat, and he takes them to find water. Sheep are scared of running water like a river, so he would take them to like a pond. They know his voice, and he knows each one of their names. At night, he would stand and guard the sheep in their sheepfold. I wonder how these sheep feel in their sheepfold and to have their shepherd near. And I wonder how the shepherd feels about these sheep. Those are some things to think about. And if you want to draw a picture of some sheep and a flock of sheep, a flock means a lot of sheep, and a good shepherd, then that might be something fun for you to do. I'm going to model putting these away because if we were really in the atrium, that is what we would do when we finish with the work. And hopefully someday we're going to get to come back to our atrium. Because this story is really important to us, it even has a special place in the atrium or the classroom. It goes on this table. different atriums might choose different types of tables or different spots in the classroom, but they all have a special spot. Sheepfold, shepherd, and the story, the Good Shepherd, which comes from the Bible. I'll see you next time.